On this episode of the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, we uncover exactly how to run a successful real estate business in a partnership. See you guys soon.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by Connected Investors. And during this episode, you'll discover exactly how to operate a successful real estate business with the partnership. Now, for those of you who are new, my name is Shaun Young, today's host and proud member of the Connected Investor community. Now, before I introduce you to our next incredible guest speakers, we have two of them today. I want to make a request that if at any point during the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. And make sure to take a look in the description of this episode as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now, today, we have the privilege to learn from two gentlemen who run a successful rental business, wholesale business, as well as have a successful partnership. So I'd like to introduce you guys to the one, the only, Dave Payerchin and RJ Pepino. Dave and RJ, thank you guys for being on today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Shaun. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Now, gentlemen, before we get started, I'll let you both have the opportunity. Dave, before you began your career in real estate investing, can you tell us a little bit about what you had going on?
Sure. So I was, just an average kid from Cleveland. And as soon as I finished high school, I packed up my bags and hightailed out to sunny Phoenix, Arizona. All I brought with me was, a bag of clothes, a tool belt, and a drill. I was going to do construction work out there. And then I found a little sales job that I was going to do in the evenings while I was living out in Arizona. And my sales job soon basically took over the construction. I was making more money doing sales than construction. So I got involved into telemarketing. I used to be a telemarketer for MCI WorldCom when they were still around. And I kind of parlayed the sales thing into real estate, started going to RIA meetings all the way back in 2005 is when I started out in Arizona. And I started my career in real estate just by driving around neighborhoods, finding junkers, old fashioned, right? Driving for dollars. And I started a wholesaling business in 2005. And then if some of your listeners remember, back in 2007, 2008, the entire real estate market imploded because of all the bad loans they were writing. So I learned very quickly what being a speculator is. A speculator just hopes things keep going up in value, and that's what I was. And after that, I kind of had to lick my wounds, find my way back to Ohio, and then I started buying rental properties because I no longer wanted to be a speculator and keep hoping things go up in value. Hope is not a business model. We wanted consistent cash flow. So in 2012, 2013, I moved back from the West Coast back to Ohio and started buying rental properties with RJ.
And that's a great segue into RJ. RJ,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit about what you had going on?
I had
before
some
you got into real
similar,
estate?
I had some similar, upbringings, I guess, with Dave, but in terms of working for MCI, that was a interesting time. I learned sales in that job, but back before I did that, I was playing tennis, so I was really good at tennis in high school and then in college. And I'm from Ohio, so I went to a college up north, Youngstown State University, and I went to that college to play tennis and to actually become a doctor, to be honest. And it was a interesting time for me because with all that freedom and able to kind of be on my own, I ended up having a little bit too much fun my freshman year, and really had to rethink, like, what do I really want to do, that defining moment. And I knew I had the opportunity to get an education. And so I kind of grew up pretty quickly there. And after my career as a tennis player, I was looking for something something else, and I wanted to make money, you know, and I landed a sales job, and that's my first sales job. And I don't know how I got it, because I knew nothing in sales, but I knew one skill, and that skill was to model other people to become successful. And I think Tony Robbins talks about that in the number of books that he's written about modeling successful people. And I knew if I could do that in sales, I could succeed. So I'm in there in the bay, you know, in those times when the whole call center, you're in certain bays, right? If anybody's been, any of your listeners have been on the phone, I was in the bay, and I'm like asking my manager at that time, who's the best salesperson in our bay? I was a part of a team. And so I would, in the middle of the calls, I would take breaks and go and shadow this one guy who just all the time, every day, day in and day out, would get 5 sales. And at that point, that was like he's making well over $100,000 just having 5 sales a day. And so I got really good at telemarketing, but unfortunately, MCI went away, you know, and they went bankrupt and filed BK or whatever. There was a bunch of scandal going on. And in the middle of work one day, we just see it highlighted above the screen, like we're closing down shop. So I was looking for something else. I knew I was going to be good in sales, so I got another job in sales. And at that point, AT&T was singular. I was selling phones, so I actually sold the first iPhone, and the first model that was out there. So I did that for a while, and real successful in that as well, and got promoted to become a manager, store assistant manager, and then store manager. And I was looking to have just, you know, it was more income, but then also more freedom. I was like working so many hours, you know, and retail hours, 60 to 8 hours a week. And I was looking for a way to get out of that grind. And I thought it was to climb that corporate ladder. My brother turned me on into a book that most of your listeners probably have listened to or read, and it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that book right there changed my whole mindset, my awareness level, taught me about the 4 quadrants, how to be a business owner, and more importantly, got me turned on to real estate. And so that led me down the path of trying to get into real estate. And I got into, you know, a rehab that didn't go too well. That was my very first experience with real estate, and got into wholesaling after that. And that led me into, you know, finding the fact that, hey, you know, for me to get that lifestyle, I have to get monthly cash flow from rentals. And then I met Dave in about 2010, I believe, and started to you know, we started that relationship. He was in a previous world. He was with another company, a sales company, and we just kept in touch. And finally in 2012, we made that decision to say, hey, look, we can partner up and buy these homes in Columbus, Ohio. Here are the numbers. You know, you can be all in on the house for $25K at that point, and it can rent for $700. So we're like, yeah, let's partner up, buy rentals, and you know, let's let's hit some home runs. So that was the kind of in a nutshell. That's how Dave and I formed to now we have over 100 rentals, and you know, we have a team that's virtual, and that's kind of our story.
Man,
in a condensed form.
That is awesome, RJ. That sounds like you guys are definitely doing very well. Now, before we dive into exactly how to be successful in real estate with a partner, you know, what would you guys say that you're contributing your success to? And why do you think that has played such a big role in you guys being able to be successful as a team?
Great question. I think one thing that comes up for me is right behind you. I see the word persistence, and that's like one of those cliche words that says, "Oh, never give up and hang in there." But truly, to be able to hang in there and fully commit to our craft, which happens to be real estate, right? But to fully commit and be able to hang in there during the very uncomfortable times. And the uncomfortable times don't always come in the form of hard work, you know, because we're all built to work hard. It comes in the form of, big swings, big money swings. RJ and I have experienced major swings, and it gets nerve wracking at times. We've also taken on huge risk together in the form of loans and private loans, and wrote our name on the dotted line, as the owner of the company. And we had this conversation with our team today. So just really, being willing to take those risks. A lot of people are not willing to take those kind of risks. And now we actually, along with you, Shaun, we can help people take calculated risks. RJ and I very much in the early days were, fire first, aim second kind of guys. And we raised a whole bunch of expensive money. We were giving up half of our deal in other partnerships. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. But really just, I would say what comes up for me, persistence and the ability to hang in there during the uncomfortable times, which are inevitable to any business. What about you, RJ?
Yeah, I would say that also, it's sticking to basically one thing long enough to master and not getting so derailed and unfocused. And there's so much opportunities that come our way now with the success that we've had. And then even in the success that we were having along the way, there was stuff that always pop up, and it was being focused on task at hand and just being like, all right, we're going to do this and be masters at this. And before we go off and do something else that just, is not even in the same core business that we're in. And so nowadays we have what we call is like, more or less like some core values that, that we kind of stand by. And if there's an opportunity that comes through the pipeline, and a lot of them do every day, if it doesn't fit kind of what our mission or core value is, we're just going to say no and be firm with that, because we know that it's just going to derail us into something that's just unproductive, and we're not going to get anywhere. So we've gotten really good at that too, Shaun.
Makes a lot of sense, guys. Makes a lot of sense. Now, for our listeners out there, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that each and every show comes with a detailed action plan. We pull the steps out of this show, create a blueprint on how to implement exactly on what we're covering today. All you guys have to do is visit connectedinvestors.com/free to get the key takeaways and the resources from this podcast. Plus, you get to see our free training right now. Text the word exactly to 910-600-0630 to see for yourself. This is exactly how I make my money. You can find properties in any town for pennies on the dollar with this software that I use each and every day, guys. Now, as nearly 1 million people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors and a marketplace of investment properties. In the description of this video, I've included a link to this episode's forum discussion. So head on over there and take a look, guys. So Dave, how can folks out here reach you guys? Before we dive into your partnership, how can folks out there reach you guys if they're wanting to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So we have a community of our own, and we call it the Cream. If you can see behind myself and RJ, and the Cream stands for cash flow, real estate, and money, because that's what we're all about: making money, building wealth, building portfolios, and creating financial freedom. So our website is www.risewiththecream.com. My Instagram handle is @TheRealDaveP. And RJ, where can people find you on Instagram?
Yep, I'm on @RJ Pepino. Just how they see it on the screen here. It's just my name. We've got a ton of videos there, a lot of content that we're putting out there. We're not charging anything for it. It's just lessons and solid tips on building a rental portfolio, managing money, how to raise private money. I have a series of single family rental tips, and these are just all lessons that we've learned from owning 5 rentals, 10 rentals, 50 rentals, and now up to 130 rentals. So if your listeners want to go there, certainly give us a like, comment, ask questions, and we'll answer all of those comments. So
absolutely. And guys, make sure you comment and hit that like button. These YouTubes and the different search engines, they like those type of algorithms. So make sure you're hitting that like button for us and keeping abreast with what's going on out there. That's how you stay attuned. So That's great news. Great stuff, guys. Thanks for giving us information on how we can get a hold of you. Now, Dave, what would you say are the three most important things to make a successful partnership operate?
Well, that's a great question. Three most successful things for a successful partnership. I would say number one, honesty and integrity, because if you're going to be, a thief, it doesn't matter how good the business partnership is or how good the business plan is. If you're going to steal, the business is going to fail. The partnership is not going to work out. Not to state the obvious, but hey, it's good reminder for everybody. Number two, I would say, to actually have upfront agreements and have an exit plan or clause if one person wanted to be bought out, they decided they didn't want to do real estate or whatever type of business that you're starting with a partner, kind of have upfront agreements and have some kind of exit strategy if life circumstances change. And number three is, avoid partnerships where one partner is bringing all the money, the other partner is going to be the full-time operator. That's more of a lender-borrower type of relationship, not so much a business partnership where basically in the real estate space, I've seen that fail, Shaun, because the guy that brings all the money, sure, they're going to put up the money and the guy who's doing the operations, they're always going to be working harder than the guy who put up the money. And then the guy who puts up the money is never really going to know how hard it is to, find deals and do all that. So the operator in that situation is going to be much better off to be the operator, be the boots on the ground. And then instead of having a money partner and giving away half of their business, just find a private lender who's willing to lend against a deal, on a deal per deal basis, rather than just bringing on a money partner who gets 50% of everything, regardless of how hard the operator is working.
No matter what. Great advice, Dave. Great advice. RJ, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, what I wanted to add is just kind of piggybacking on what Dave talked about, being open and honest, is that you also need to have that with your communication, and you communicate more frequently, especially now that we're all virtual and we don't really see each other as much. So we touch base pretty much daily and have communication that sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's talking about the untalkables. And communicating in a way that's respectful. That's worked for us. Also, the next thing is core values. We have very similar core values. And when you're forming a partnership, you want to have like some sort of interview process, right? You really want to know who you're getting into business with. And right off the bat, when Dave and I met, we had very similar kind of upbringings, middle-class family, worked really hard. The work ethic was there. And so, that was one core value that we still have today, is that we're relentless, we're persistent, like what you have behind you. So it's something that has helped us go through the tough times. And earlier in this, in this Zoom, we're talking about the swings in business. We've gone through some really low times, but we were able to figure it out and push through. And that's led to, many more upswings, right? So I think I just want to add those two key things, that's how our business has thrived through these years.
That's great. I think you and Dave both mentioned a lot of great points. 2 points I want to emphasize is that, Dave really, emphasized the fact that, it doesn't really work if you've got a financier, so to speak. You've got someone that just says, hey, I've got a bunch of money, and you go get it done. Because like Dave said, you're going to run into that situation where the guy who's getting it done is going to feel like he's doing it all at some point. And he's going to probably figure out how to get, break away from this partnership anyway. So like Dave said, you kind of got to make it more of a mutual beneficial relationship. Bring qualities to the table that maybe the other person doesn't have, things of that nature. I think that definitely are going to be key. And like RJ said, what are your core values? Have you guys even discussed, core values? Is that something that's important to you at all? Stuff like that will end the partnership very quickly, because like you say, if you don't have integrity and one person does, it's going to be hard to operate together.
But yeah, so those are all the points that, we can expound on some other things, but those are the main key things that keep this partnership sailing. It's the hardest. What's the hardest ship to sail, Dave?
The hardest ship to sail is a partnership, Shaun. So you got to
Man,
set it up right from the beginning.
I like that. I like that. I like that. The hardest ship to sail is a partnership. So set it up right from the beginning so it can sail properly. Man, I like that one. Now, guys out there, as a reminder, if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to this show so that you don't miss an episode, because it's your engagement that keeps us doing this for the community for free. So Dave, let me ask you this, and RJ, what do you guys think your life would be like if you never started investing in real estate?
I would pretty much probably be somebody who drinks a ton of coffee and, hammers the phone and makes sales calls all day. Oh, wait a second. I still am that. But basically, no, I mean, I certainly wouldn't probably not have the confidence that I do. And we were talking about our goals today, and some of the goals that we set early on, they felt like such a far distant reach for me at that time. For instance, one of the goals was having a, portfolio worth $20 million or more. I thought that was so far out of my reach, and then another one was like to own 100 properties or more. Like, how is this ever going to happen? Right. And, real estate and my partnership with RJ's really pushed me, to be a higher and better version of myself. And I think without real estate, I just wouldn't have that confidence. I probably would not believe that I'm capable of some of the stuff that we've done, and then moving forward, capable of what's to come. So really the sky's the limit at this point. And it really comes from, doing real estate business, hitting goals, and just expanding that belief system.
Got it.
What about you, RJ?
Yeah, I think I don't know what I'd be, man. I was on this path to become a doctor, like every Asian family that comes here to America strives to be this doctor. But who knows? In this journey of being an entrepreneur, I've learned how to communicate a lot more open and better, and just these are the skills that I never would have had just in school, in high school. And I was never that social at all. And so a lot of the, my growing up per se happened in college. And after that, hiring mentors, and we still have mentors today. And so I don't know where I would be. It's certainly not where I am now. And I just imagine myself, there was a turning point that I remember. I was sitting in AT&T, and I was interviewing jobs in sales to be a pharmaceutical rep. Mm-hmm. And I was down to the last interview, and it was either that interview to get the job, and I had already started wholesaling, or to stick with wholesaling, and it was, I went to the right with wholesaling. And that's, if I would have said no, I don't know where I'd have been. Probably sales somewhere, I don't know, but I definitely chose the right path, is what I'm trying to say.
Man, this has been awesome. This episode, I definitely appreciate you guys, sharing, all your insight into great partnerships. It lets me know that I need a great partnership. Sometimes like you hear these things, you don't need a partner, do it all yourself, but you can't go anywhere by yourself. Or what do they say? You go fast alone, but go far together. So, I like that. I like how you guys have definitely weathered the storm together. Your ship has, you filled in the holes, and you've got it going where it's got to go. And that's what it's all about. Now, guys, that brings us to the next part of the show that we call the rapid fire session. And this is where I ask you guys a question, and you give me the first answer that comes to mind. You guys ready?
Man, I'm a little nervous, but I guess I'm ready.
You didn't know about this, huh? We sprung this one on you.
Rapid fire.
Guys. On a scale from 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
10.
RJ. 3.
Oh yeah, mine was 10 for sure. If there was an 11, I'd choose 11.
Get up early, stay up late.
I'm an early riser, but I also stay up late. So
as I get older, I wake up earlier. I've always been a stay up late guy, but now I can't. I mean, we got a 6-year-old in the other room and dogs and family. So I don't really have a choice anymore, but I'm very much a stay up late guy.
Well, how many hours of sleep do you get each night?
RJ's probably gone down. RJ's got a brand new baby at home, but I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, I'm averaging at 3 to 4 on a good night right now, but before that it was 6 to 7.
Okay. Favorite or last book read?
Almost Alchemy by Dan Kennedy, the last book.
So mine was it was an audio book, but I'll give you a favorite book. I really like, I see myself in my personal development really jumped leaps and bounds, I guess, with High Performance Habits. It's a really good book.
By Brendan Bouchard, right?
By Brendan Bouchard. Yeah.
Awesome,
They've read it too. It's a good book.
That's good.
Something that everyone should do less of.
Gossip.
That's good. That's a good one. Mine, staring on computer screens.
Something that everyone should do more of.
Pick up the phone. Go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead.
Pick up the phone and call a loved one.
Say I love you.
Okay. Bitcoin, bang or bust?
Bust.
Will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
Not live, but they'll probably be, my take is not live on Mars, but we'll certainly set foot there in the next 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's going to be disclosures coming real soon that we've already been there.
Indeed, right? Well, guys, thank you guys so much for being guests on our show. I mean, I've really enjoyed your guys' presence and all the information that you've shared with us. And audience out there, you've made it to the end of the show. And most people never finish what they start. So you're special. So if you got any value out of today's show, share this with a friend or on your Facebook page. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and send us topics that you want to learn more about. And like I said earlier, nearly 1 million people use the Connected Investor social network as a marketplace and a platform to connect. So in the description of this video is included a link to this episode's forum discussion. All you have to do is tap that link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what other investors are saying about this very episode. So until the next episode, guys, I'll catch you on the inside of Connected Investors. See you on the inside.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.